Right, it's going. Right, okay, so I'm going to just create a new project. Not going to give it a sensible name. You'd give it a sensible name. I better make sure I do it in Visual Basic. Visual Basic. Windows Form Application. I'm just going to call it Get Grade. Okay, so simple user interface. Just want a text box. Put a label on there saying what it is. Enter grade. Put a button on there. Oh, not enter grade, it's not grade, it's a score. Enter score. I better put some text on my button. Oh, typing badly. Okay. Right. When I click that button, that's when I'm going to do some checking. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a local variable. And that's going to be user score. And it's a whole number I'm working with. Okay, I'm going to do try and catch. So I'm going to put that in straight away because they might put some rubbish in there. So I'm going to say user score. Use space if you can do that. Equals the text box, which should be called text box 1 because I didn't rename it. Text. Okay, so grab the text from the text box and store it. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to create a subroutine. Well, actually, I'm going to create what we call a function. Okay, and that's going to accept a score and give me a grade back. But I'm going to put that in a module. So I'm going to go to project, add module. And I'm going to call the module grade work. Okay, and what I could do is I could put loads of different modules in here. Loads of different functions to create different tasks, different grade. I could put a BTEC grading thing in there if I wanted to. Right, so I'm going to create what we call a function. And a function is like a subroutine, but what it does is it returns an answer. So I'm going to give it a number and it's going to give me a grade back. Okay, so I'm going to say function A level grade. Okay, and to pass a number to a function, I do this. So I say score as integer. And to return a value, I say what I'm going to return. Now I'm going to say string, because I'm going to return text. Okay, so we haven't used string yet, not directly. Okay. Right, so I'm then going to do my test, my checks. So I'm going to say, right, I'm going to look at the score I've been given. If it's greater than or equal to 80, I'm going to return an A. And I actually nearly write that. So I say if score, because that's what I called it here. Okay. Oops, he's tried to write me code for me. If it's greater than or equal to 80, then I'm going to return A. Okay, or I can say A grade, because it's string, it's a piece of text. If it isn't that, I'm going to say else. And there's a thing called else if, so I can do another check. And I can say, okay then, is the score greater than or equal to 70? If it is, I'll return B grade. If it isn't, I'm going to say else if score is greater than or equal to 60. If it is greater than 60, but it was obviously less than 70, it must be a C. So I'm going to say return C grade. If it's not that, let's do another test. Is score greater than or equal to 50? If it is, return a D. If it isn't, it could be two more choices, so I need to do another test. So is the score greater than or equal to 40? If it is, return an E grade. If it isn't, I don't need to do any more tests because it must be a fail. Okay, so I can actually just say else, which is what we've used on the previous program. We used this if and else, didn't we? Okay, said if something was true, do this. So I'm just going to say return failed me old son. Okay, hard luck. Okay, the little green squiggle's gone from the bottom. So if we just look at the structure of that, we are working from the largest value we want to check all the way down to the bottom. Okay, and when we get down to the bottom, I could have done this. I could have said if its score is greater than or equal to 0, then, and that would have been alright, but it green squiggles at the end. Alright, because it's saying I'm not sending a value back each time. So I won't do that. So if you do one of these like cascaded if statements, as it's called, you'll always end up with just a final, oh well, it's got to be that. Okay. Right, so that's doing that job. I can now use that, and I'll show you how you use it. So we're just going to say, I'm going to put just a message box up. You can make a nicer form and things like that. I'm going to say show, and what I want to show is the user's value. So I'm going to put a little bit of string concatenation together. So you scored, and then I'm going to display the score I got, user score. And then I'm going to put a little bit of a message. This gets you, and then I want the answer from that function. Now the nice thing about functions is you can use them like a variable because they work out their answer, and wherever you put the name it replaces the answer. So I can say grade work dot A level grade, if it lets me select it, and I need to give it its score. Okay, so what's happening there is we're saying take this text, add to it the score, whatever that value of that variable is, add to it a bit of text. Notice I'm putting spaces in so that we don't join everything up, alright, because that's a pain. And then saying right at the end, run this function called gradework.aLevelGrade, give it that number, and whatever it returns in its place, add that to the rest of the text. Okay, so if I run that just to see if it works, so let's try 56, which should be a D. There you go. So you scored 56, this gets you D grade. Let's try 89, this gets you A grade. Let's try 2. You scored 2, this gets you failed me old son. Hard. I don't know whether I typed that properly. That's an issue with using message boxes. If you use your own form, you can really control how that's displayed. What might be better, because if we look at what's happening here, every time it picks a grade for me, it's going to say A grade, B grade. What I could do is say, okay, let's get rid of all that. Let's just say A, B, C, D, E. What grade do you get if you fail? U. So let's just return a U. Yeah, I didn't finish that off properly. So I'm returning just the factual information I want. So what I can do is I can then add on to that and make up how I use that letter myself. So I can make a more useful sentence because I'm not restricted by what I decided to stupidly write in this function. Okay, but a function is just like the subroutines you've written, but it returns an answer. And you can see it's got that return line in there. Okay, and the type that gets returned is that. So we're saying we're returning a bit of text. We're saying we accept a value that is a whole number. We're going to call it score so that we can use it to check. Okay, so if I run it now, let's try 70. Let's try 70. This gets you a B grade. Let's try 69 to make sure that works. So we should get a C for that. C grade. Okay. Obviously, I need to do a little bit more work because really, I should put a catch in there. What message I want to put out in case I put some junk in. If I run it as it is, and I put like that, it's going to crash. It's like thinking about it. Crash? Are we going to crash? Oh, it's not doing anything. Don't know what it's doing there. It's thinking about crashing. It didn't actually crash, just didn't work. Right, one thing that I have got a problem with, if I put minus 56, it tells me I've got a U. That's a nonsense answer. And if I put that, that's a nonsense answer. So what I ought to do is I could put a little if in here, and I could say, if user score, don't press enter, is less than 0, or user score is greater than 100, then I can give them an error message, and I can say, whoa, hang on a minute, message box, outside range 0 to 100. Okay. Oh, I didn't put .show. Right. What I must do if I'm going to do that, I put an else in there and I say only attempt to do that if that wasn't true. Okay. So I'm saying test that. If that's true or that's true, we've got a problem. The user's put some rubbish in. Okay. So let me just put a message box. Oh, that's why I didn't get an error, because I'd actually got try and catch in there, didn't I? Being a bit divvy, really. Error. That's the error message you should never display, ever. You know, like Sony do on all the PlayStation stuff. Error. Well, they do this, don't they? Error C138. Like that. That's what Sony seems to do. That's their standard error message. So if I put that in, you go, oh no, I've got error C1308, and you go on the internet, what is error C? And it isn't, just it's some random error made up. Okay, so don't do that. So let's see what happens when I do, let's put minus 56. So I'll display outside of range 0 to 100. So it's not the greatest error message in the world, but it gives the user an idea what they've done wrong. Let's go back, make sure we get a D for that. Okay, that's it. Nice and simple. So, couple of things there. Put something in a module. Use a function if you want to return an answer to something that you're doing. One other thing that I'll add. These numbers, while we're doing this now, they might have great meaning. Okay, I might know what 80 means, what 70 means, what 60 means. But they are just numbers. They are the same every time this program runs, which makes them constants, constant values. Now that's something you haven't had to talk about yet in any of your program that you've done. But they're what we call literal constants. They're written into the code, but they have no meaning. Okay, so what I can do is I can create constants. So I can say public const and give a name. So I'm going to say A grade, and watch how I type it, because I type it a bit different to anything else. Oops, badly. God, blind. Okay, so I use that. So I've got a name, all in capitals, so I can see it's a constant. I've set it to a value of 80. I can now use that in place of the number 80. Now what you see then, when you read the code, it actually makes more sense. So it says, if the score is greater than or equal to the A grade boundary, then return an A. And I can do that for each one. So I could create a B boundary, C, D, obviously changing the values, otherwise I've broken the program structure. One more for the E. And then change all these, so B. Use the picker at all times because it makes it a damn sight easier. Just as you highlight something, just press space and it'll put it in for you. So that makes the code a lot more readable. Okay? Just by using those constants. Okay, so nice quick example. You will get something similar, not like that, but similar to it. How you structure it is up to you. Okay, you need to try and put things into modules because that makes it easier. And then obviously you're going to comment everything up. So comments, what is that? What is that? What is this? Etc. Okay, so if you want to like just follow through that, see if you can get that one to work.